Welcome back to our small repair community where we have more fun at work than most people have at play. I had the occasion to work on a Corvette with a very strong red color interior, and since I field a lot of questions concerning color, I thought you might like to come along on this one. Let's get to work. Well, you can't sell a car like this, and I've never worked on one of these before, but let's see what we can get into. Beneath this rubber plug, you will find a Torx head screw. That's the same size as what's on the hinge for this cover. And held on with 2 screws is this separate plastic piece that fits around the latch. Now it seems to me that the vinyl is not only glued to the plastic, but heat sealed on there. So by heating it up first, I was able to peel it away. Foam that was glued to the vinyl is really on there, which leads me to believe that there was no adhesive in the center where this was bubbled up. It became apparent that there was no saving the original cover, so we've used it as a pattern for a new one. Of course, I'm aware you can buy a new cover, but the main import of this channel is to focus on developing skills that make us a craftsman instead of a parts changer.
What I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career.
That way, if a part is unavailable, we can do it. Now, I'm not an upholsterer, but if you ask me, I think that everyone should learn a few basic upholstery skills. Of course, here, sewing it first face to face, and then doing a top stitch or a flat felled seam, as in the original cover. Now, to achieve my target color, I actually started with a leftover color from this old Corvette, and here I had to match up to a vinyl that was being used in the restoration. And so this color is what you would call a premix, and we're going to adjust the premix using the True Red pigment. So in our analysis of the value, our premix is light compared to the target, and our True Red pigment is dark compared to the target. So the True Red can be used to correct our value. Bear in mind that we're looking at our colors wet here, so when they're dried down, we'll get the true analysis. This will get us in the right direction. In the color analysis, we know that reds can be either yellow or blue. Those are the 2 directions on the color wheel. Our leftover, or our premix, is more yellow, whereas our dark red, or True Red, is more blue. Therefore, the True Red is the correct choice both for color correction and value correction. Of course, with translucent reds, we know that having the right color does not mean we're going to get the right color. It all boils down to the primer color. So I've sprayed half the vinyl with white to make the point. I've sprayed the entire piece with 3 coats of our target color. And this illustrates that having the right color doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to get the right color. We have to make a custom primer. In this case, the custom primer is an off-white that you see as an overspray on this cardboard box. And now we've hit the target. I should note that prior to assembly here, if we are gluing the entire top, then it would be wise to make a couple of registration marks that will help to align the pieces when we touch them together. And in this instance, I glued the center line, assembled that, and then glued both sides individually. And in the plastic, there are channels to fit the seam. So that is also a great aid in alignment. And here it is in the car. All is good. As a bonus feature, let's analyze the color for a '67 Camaro. In this instance, the red oxide is our closest pigment to our target. I always view red oxide as a dark orange, and orange can be either red or yellow. In this case, our target is more yellow. And as far as value goes, the red oxide is too dark. So by analyzing our color this way, we have true direction for the correction. So red oxide it is. This amount of red oxide is going to be our 20%, and the base that we add is going to be the 80%. Now we can apply some of this color on a swatch and dry it down just to confirm our observations. And we are correct. Our paint is too dark and too red. Now I'm adding yellow oxide, and as you'll observe here, the yellow oxide is lighter, so this is not only going to change our orange to more yellow, but also lighten at the same time. A twofer. So if our adjustment takes us halfway to our target, isn't it logical that we could do the same thing again and be right on? And that looks pretty good. Let's get a primer coat or two on this dash. You will see here quite readily that for this particular red, we don't need our custom primer color. That's because the red oxide has such heavy solids that it covers well by itself. Yellow oxide as well that we've added is very heavy, has a lot of solids in it, so it covers very well by itself. And come to think of it, I think probably the containers of white and red oxide are your two heaviest containers, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, I could be. Our primer coats are completed. Let's do a spray out on our sample just to make sure that the sprayed version matches the original target color. That looks pretty good. I believe I will leave well enough alone. And here it is, delivered to the customer. Well, I guess that's about it. So we've had one example of adjusting a premix color and one example of mixing a color from scratch. And I hope that colors your world a little bit better today. Thanks for watching. We'll look for you next time.